Hello out there in Radio Land. This is Mr. Justin Brown of the Unified Field Saturday night. How do you follow the high-octane energy of the Island Switch? Only here in Halifax. CKDU, we have an amazing, wide, diverse range of programming, and we're going from some high-energy octane music all the way down to the other side of the weird side of the fence. This is the only paranormal radio broadcast in Canada, and today on the program, you're really privileged because we have a military aerospace historian today talking to us all the way from Arizona. He's a writer and contributor to Open Minds magazine, like I said. He's an aerospace historian, and his name is Mr. Michael Schratt. We talk about billions of dollars funneled into black ops projects. We talk about him in an interview with a guy named Dan Burisch, who apparently worked at the S4 installation in Area 51 in Nevada. And what happened there was apparently Mr. Dan Burisch worked on an extraterrestrial entity who survived a crash in 1947 in Kingsman, not Roswell, I believe. And all the implications there, where he came from, the future of humanity, time travel, stargates, and so much more. It was a real privilege to talk to this guy. Wait until you hear the data that this guy gives us on all kinds of military aircraft that have been developed, some of it 50 years ago, and is just being blown out into the public eye right now. It doesn't stop there. We've got all kinds of stuff. NASA just had a press conference on astrobiology and the implications of an alien life, quote-unquote, found here on Earth, and the implications of finding extraterrestrials in outer space. Not really an ET here on Earth, but a form of life that's based on a building block element that is so beyond what we ever thought was capable of existing. So it's pretty exciting here on the Unified Field. We got so much stuff coming at you. It doesn't stop there, though, folks. We talk about California's missile, UFO, quote-unquote, and we'll talk about Jim Marr's statements on Whitley Strieber's Dreamland just recently. We may get into some near-death investigations by the Wall Street Journal. We're talking about the International UFO Congress, Ilya Yumzanov being reelected, the Denver ET Commission updates there, Boeing space rides, WikiLeaks updates, Hong Kong residents seeing 5 UFOs in one day, a little bit of an update on the Shag Harbour mystery, and a whole lot more. This is the Unified Field. I'm glad that you're with us today. It's a big, bad show with Mr. Michael Schratt. I want to say hello out there to a really special listener. Hey, Dad. It's nice to know you're on the airwaves. And everybody else out in Radio Land, this is the Unified Field.
Hi, I'm Phoenix Wolf. I'm from Halifax. You're listening to the Unified Field. Okay, that's good.
This is Michael Schratt, private pilot, military aerospace historian, and you're listening to the Unified Field.
Yes, indeed, we are here on an amazing episode of the Unified Field, and I have to tell you, I'm really excited to be here. A lot has happened in the last month. I had to replay an episode last week, Snake Eyes 11, the Paul Hellier episode, because of a technical error there at the Unified Field Project Studios and a critical system failure. I couldn't get the rest of the episode on. I apologize, but you did hear a little bit of Stan Romanek, I believe, and that's always worth a second listen. I have to make mention to all of you guys out there in the world of ufology that this isn't the only source for your exopolitical UFO paranormal news. If you miss it on CKDU, there's all kinds of other places you can get it. I didn't realize this till about a month ago when I got back into the cable game because of a telephone hookup. Not by choice, but a telephone hookup. We got the cable. It was the same price. Fantastic, right? Yeah, you'd think so. But it is a black hole. I said that before. Anyway, the other places to get it, I make the segue into cable because you can listen on Eastlink 851 locally to the station if you don't have a computer, but you do subscribe to cable, so check it out there. If not, go to the www.ckdu.ca and go to listen live. Also, if you can't catch those, you can always catch the old archives at MySpace and YouTube at the /Unified Field Radio. Go figure. We're also got a blog spot on there where you can catch up with all the show notes that link specifically with the episode that's airing on YouTube. Now, it's always a few episodes behind, so you have to be patient because this is a volunteer job. I do all of these interviews all out of my own pocket, pro bono, free time. This is the nature of exopolitics for the most part, and forays into the truth, seeking the truth. It's usually free. Pro bono work. So check that out at the blog spot. Also follow updates on Twitter, future guests coming out. And, of course, a lot of the people you can see on YouTube and in the archive section so far are guests like the gentleman I saw today at a craft fair, Mr. Steve Vernon. He's up there. There's Kathleen Martin, the author of Abducted with Stan Friedman. Stan Friedman's up there. We've got the wonderful Suzanne Taylor. We've got, who else do we have up there? We've got Mr. Don Ledger and so many more. I want to stop there at Don Ledger because I have to tell you that there's an update with Shag Harbour that I mentioned before. They have a museum that was launched last fall? I believe it's last fall. And I did not know that. But it is true. It's there. And it opened on June 16th. That chronicles, of course, the Shag Harbour Incident that happened on October 4th of 1967. It's the world's most documented, actually it's the world's only government documented UFO crash. And there was all kinds of evidence. There were dives that went looking for the crash or material or anything left over from what was going on. An incredible story. Don Ledger wrote a book with Chris Stiles, one of the original witnesses, called Dark Object, and it became part of Whitley Strieber's Hidden Agendas book series. But anyway, they have a temporary home and a little tiny addition to a house out there in Shag Harbour where you can look at all kinds of memorabilia, DVDs. You can even get an extraterrestrial license plate. They had a festival in August. I couldn't make it down. I'm really disappointed in myself for that. But for all of you who want to check out the Shag Harbour Incident, buy the book by Don Ledger and Chris Stiles. Look up the stuff on YouTube and get the DVDs. But more than that, go to Shag Harbour, support local tourism, and keep this alive. This is Canada's Roswell, people. So make it a summer destination, if not a destination over the fall. The government actually here in Nova Scotia is giving them a temporary stay in a donated building, but they're working on a permanent construction just up the road from the museum. So that's interesting news right there. I have to mention as well upcoming guests on the Unified Field. Atlantic Canada's only paranormal radio broadcast, the only one of its kind. This is the Michael Schratt episode. Of course, he works with Mr. Alejandro Rojas of Open Minds Magazine, Open Minds Radio. He used to be a correspondent with Jesse Randolph. Wow, there's a lot of cool connections. Jesse Randolph is going to be in a piece today that we'll talk about later. It's a video segment I'm going to play for you. I'll get to that. It's an interesting spin on the show. I'm going to be playing some live clips from the internet on some news conferences about NASA and another one about UFOs. But anyway, Alejandro Rojas coming up in the program. We had a great talk. Offered me some press passes to the International UFO Congress in Arizona, which I'm going to talk about in a bit because may need your help. All of you listening. Also, we've got coming up Clary Croft, homegrown talent, recommended to me by my father. Thank you, Mr. Brown. We talk about his book, Witchcraft, and the implications of our own history, our hidden history of witchcraft that goes back not only to a 1683, I believe, witch trial, but even beyond that when we talk about shamanic practices and spells and everything else. It was a real honor to have Clary Croft on. He was making news a month back. He's coming up. And, of course, Yvonne Smith. If you don't know who Yvonne Smith is, I'm going to tell you who she is. She's an amazing lady who's following in the footsteps of Bud Hopkins. She was a colleague of the late great Dr. John Mack of Harvard University Psychology Department, and he did a lot of work on the nature of dualism and the idea that abductions were taking place. Who and what is involved here isn't the issue. The issue is that millions of people are experiencing the same thing. What is it? And the fact that in a lot of these cases, the entities aren't necessarily physical, and the experiences or contactees or abductees aren't necessarily physical because they're moved through their apartment, through walls and windows without them being opened or blown apart to get them through the wall. So there's a real dual connection to this experience that goes beyond the physical world. So Yvonne Smith is going to come on. She's going to talk to us about what she's found out about her hypnotherapy sessions with a number of abductees, and we talk about her revelations and insights into the hybridization program and what she thinks it all means and what's going on. So we got a whole lot coming up on the Unified Field. We just keep going stronger and stronger. Up in January, I have plans to talk to Michael Horn, who's a close colleague of Billy Meyer. Of course, Billy Meyer being a contactee in Europe who has got probably the world's most astounding quote-unquote photographs of UFOs, and he's got stories and messages from entities from beyond Earth. He's been called a charlatan by a lot of people. A lot of people try and knock him down because his pictures are so amazing, but nobody can seem to debunk his stuff. Much like George Adamski, who I'd like to talk about on a future episode. So that's going to be interesting. A lot coming up on the Unified Field. A whole lot. I want to mention again, because I have Mike Schratt on here tonight, and we're speaking, well, I spoke to Alejandro Rojas. He's coming up, like I said. I want to talk about the International UFO Congress in February of 2011. It is the 20th Annual International UFO Congress, and it's taking place at the Radisson Fort McDowell Resort and Casino in Scottsdale, Arizona. It's on amazing, beautiful, intriguing, mystical, and historical Indian Native American grounds. In the desert, basically. It's gorgeous out there. So there's going to be all kinds of people talking about UFOs. You don't have to feel awkward bumping elbows with people in the elevator because you're all going to be there searching for truth and answers and sharing experiences and stories. And the list of alumni that are going to be there is just phenomenal, from Leslie Kane to Rainbow Eagle. Alejandro Rojas is going to be there, and a whole lot of other people. I think Paul Hellier just signed up, the Honorable Paul Hellier. It's going to be fantastic. It starts February 23rd, goes to the 25th, but the 22nd, there's going to be a free screening basically all day where they give out the EBE Awards. The EB Awards, basically, Extraterrestrial Biological Entity, banquet and awards ceremony, where you get to watch documentaries all day long. It's going to be incredible. Then you get to vote on them, and then there's an award ceremony, and it's going to be fantastic. So, here's what I propose to you in Radioland. Now, take it however you want to take it. I am starting the Send Mr. Justin Brown paranormal investigator and interviewer, the only one of his kind here in Nova Scotia doing what I do. Send me to Scottsdale, Arizona. Send me an email at unifiedfieldradio@gmail.com, and if we can come to a goal, I'm still working out the numbers, but I think it's going to cost me about $1,200 to $1,500 to fly there and back, survive with food and just the bare necessities, because I'll be camping, believe it or not. Unless the kind people out there and philanthropists want to send me, Mr. Justin Brown, to Arizona and back with a whole slew of interviews that are going to blow your mind for the rest of the year. There's going to be some incredible people like retired Lieutenant Charles Halt of the Rendlesham Forest Incident, and some of the aforementioned guests that I had spoke about earlier. So it's going to be a huge affair. I'll tell you who else is going to be there. Jim Mars, Rich Dolan, Nick Pope, Stan Romanek, Don Schmidt, Travis Walton, Paul Hellier, some people we spoke to. Linda Howe. Incredible Linda Howe and her cattle mutilation